Welcome to Healthy Living. I'm Lori Johnson. Thanks for tuning in today. You're going to be glad you did because we're talking about something that's very important, a dietary component that you may have never heard before, but you really need to know about. They're called polyphenols. My guest today is Dr. Stephen Gundry, and believe it or not, July 11th is National Polyphenol Day. And Dr. Gundry, you were very instrumental in having this day named. Welcome, and tell us about National Polyphenol Day.
Hey, Lori, thanks for having me on. Yeah, I'm actually really excited. My team at Gundry MD actually got National Polyphenol Day recognized as an official day, and it happens to be my birthday, July 11th. So every time July 11th comes around, now on, it's National Polyphenol Day and my birthday. So really excited.
Well, July 11th is 7-Eleven, and that's also the day we get free Slurpees at 7-Eleven.
Not a whole lot of polyphenol content in Slurpees, but yeah, I used to be a big Slurpee fan before I learned better. But yeah, good for Slurpee.
Right. So polyphenols, first of all, what are they?
The best way for people to understand polyphenols is in the fall, when all the beautiful fall colors come out. People think that somehow leaves change into those colors. In fact, the colors that we see in all the beautiful leaves are actually the polyphenols in the leaves that are now apparent when all the green of the leaves disappear, the chlorophyll. And what's left behind is the polyphenols. Now, you're probably asking, well, the plant obviously put those polyphenols there for a beautiful display of color for us. No, the plant uses polyphenols to protect itself against sunlight. Now, that sounds kind of crazy because plants need sunlight, but sunlight is actually incredibly damaging to plants, to the leaves. So they use polyphenols essentially as a sunscreen to repair their energy-producing organelles, which are the cousins of our mitochondria, which are chloroplasts, and they literally repair the damage of sunlight. And that's what we see in the fall. So the plant also puts polyphenols not only in its leaves, but in its fruit for the same reason, to protect the fruit from sunlight as it's ripening. Many people may have heard of a famous polyphenol in red wine called resveratrol. And that polyphenol has gotten a lot of attention over the last 10 years as actually being a remarkable anti-aging supplement. And there's very interesting information about the polyphenol in red wine actually protecting us from aging. So when we humans eat the polyphenols that the plants use to protect themselves, we actually get the benefits in a very kind of roundabout way. And if you like, we can go into that next.
Well, it's very interesting. So basically what you're saying is what we eat directly, these polyphenols can protect us the way that they protect the plants.
Correct. We used to think that polyphenols, and a huge number of different polyphenols, thousands of them, that these were antioxidants. And for years, people used to look at the ORAC rating of supplements, oxygen radical absorbing capacity. It turns out that polyphenols don't, for the most part, act like antioxidants. In fact, polyphenols that we eat or take as supplements are very, very poorly absorbed. We don't have any ability. But what's the exciting research that I and others have told people about is that our gut microbiome, the bacteria, the probiotics that live in our gut, actually benefit from eating the polyphenols in plants. And so the polyphenols act as prebiotics, that's friendly fiber, if you will. And then our microbiome actually changes these polyphenols into the active compounds that actually protect us from aging and protect our energy producing organelle, the mitochondria. And my most recent book, The Energy Paradox, goes into exactly how polyphenols have this effect. So it's kind of a win-win. Let me give you a real fun study. Recently, they asked human beings to drink a certain amount of red wine, and red wine has a lot of polyphenols, and red wine that had the alcohol removed from it, de-alcohol red wine, and compare that to people who were asked to drink gin, which quite frankly doesn't have any polyphenols. And they found that the people who had the red wine or the red wine without alcohol had a much better bacterial profile, very friendly bacteria, and had much reduced inflammation markers compared to the gin drinkers who didn't have any benefit to their bacteria and didn't have any benefit to their inflammatory markers. So it was the polyphenols in the red wine, wasn't the alcohol, that had the effect. So folks, have a glass of red wine, or if alcohol is an issue, have a de-alcohol red wine. And there are a lot of brands available now.
So what about polyphenols makes them better, if you will, than a lot of the other prebiotics that we talk about? We've talked so much about the jicama and the dandelion greens and the Jerusalem artichokes, and so many of these wonderful foods that feed the good bacteria in our gut. What makes polyphenols different?
Well, that's what's so exciting about polyphenols. And you're right, all those other prebiotic fibers are incredibly important in feeding our good bacteria. But polyphenols bring the added benefit of not only feeding good bacteria, but the good bacteria then take the polyphenols and make them into active compounds that then affect not only our mitochondrial function. Most people remember from high school biology that mitochondria are the little energy producing organelles. They're the powerhouses of cells. And what's exciting is that the polyphenol compounds that are made by our bacteria from polyphenols actually rev up energy production, number one. And number two, some of these compounds are now recognized as having dramatic anti-cancer effects. And I actually use the power of polyphenols in both of my clinics for the active treatment of people with cancer, metastatic cancer, who are inoperable. And I've written about that in all my books. And we've seen some dramatic effects of these polyphenols as anti-cancer agents. So the point of all this is, when we think about the color of the rainbow and the color of fall colors, so when we think about orange colors, red colors, dark purple colors, like the suit I have on right now is a purple color. When we think of those colors, those are the colors of polyphenols. And so the more of these eating of the rainbow in everything we do, the more we're going to get the benefit of these polyphenols in us.
Well, this is fascinating information. I'm sure our viewers are very excited to start putting more polyphenols into their diet. We're going to take a quick break and be right back with Dr. Stephen Gundry to talk about the specific foods and drinks that contain polyphenols. Stay with us.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep. As the world watches from the outside,
it's a big diplomatic tug of war here in the Middle East.
Go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
What starts in Israel then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline Friday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Stay connected with CBN News all day across our platforms.
Welcome back to Healthy Living. We are continuing our discussion with Dr. Stephen Gundry about the power of polyphenols. And Dr. Gundry, before the commercial break, you talked about red wine or de-alcoholized red wine. Can you be a little bit more specific about the exact fruits, vegetables, and other foods that contain polyphenols, and which are the best ones, which have the most in them?
Traditionally, we've always thought of blueberries as a great source of polyphenols. They're called anthocyanins in blueberries. But blueberries have actually been bred for sugar content. So now, officially, blueberries are a little bit down the scale of where you'd find polyphenols. The exception to that is if you find wild blueberries or tiny blueberries, and a lot of times these are available in markets, they're in Trader Joe's, those are great. But right now, blackberries and raspberries have the highest polyphenol content of any of the berries. That's followed by strawberries. But again, try to go to your farmer's market and get the organic small strawberries. They're going to have a much more higher polyphenol content. Olives actually have a very high polyphenol content, and the more bitter the olive oil, the more when you have olive oil, it makes you cough or it actually burns. That's a sign of the polyphenol content. And so one of my sayings from way back is more bitter, more better. And if you taste bitterness in something, you're actually tasting the polyphenols. So a couple other great places to find polyphenols is in coffee. Black coffee is loaded with polyphenols. And in fact, the fruit of the coffee berry is the best source of polyphenols. And we're finding more and more availability of coffee fruit, which is the dried coffee berry or coffee fruit extract. In fact, the polyphenols in coffee fruit has actually been shown to grow brain cells. So, fascinating study shows that people who drink 5 or more cups of coffee per day have a very low incidence of Alzheimer's or Parkinson's compared to people who don't drink that much coffee. And it turns out it's the polyphenols that have that benefit. Tea also is loaded with polyphenols. And it really doesn't matter whether it's green tea or black tea, but herbal teas aren't loaded with polyphenols. So have your cup of coffee in the morning, have a cup of tea, have several cups of tea throughout the day like I do. Great source of polyphenols. Another place that you can get your polyphenols is extra dark chocolate. Extra dark chocolate has tons of polyphenols, but beware, milk chocolate, which is preferred by Americans, all the polyphenols have been taken out to make it taste good. Also, when you're buying cocoa powder, look for the word non-Dutched or non-alkalized. The Dutching process removes the polyphenols from cocoa. And just look at the back of the package and you will see those words. And if you see non-alkalized or non-Dutch, that's what you want.
So when you were talking about olive oil, it is so overwhelming shopping for olive oil. Can you be more specific about what types we should be buying?
Sure. There are great olive oils from around the world, including a number that are made here in the United States. What you want to look for is you want to look for first cold pressed, and you also want to look for extra virgin. Now, extra virgin has nothing to do with the sexual relationships of the olive. It turns out that that's a measurement of acidity in the olive oil, and it was the establishment was made by the Italian government years ago. But those two things are number one. The next thing you want to look for is the pressed on date, when the olive oil was actually pressed from olives. And that's important because the pressed on date literally tells you when that olive oil was made, and you really should try to use that olive oil within a year of the pressing. One last thing you should look for is country of origin. If you see a single country of origin, not where it was manufactured, but where the olives was grown, that's your best protection that you're getting the real thing. Unfortunately, most olive oil that we buy in the stores is a combination of olives from very different places that are literally put in tankers, ships, and brought to Italy or brought to Greece and then blended and labeled bottled in Italy or bottled in Greece. So look for a single origin country as your best bet that you're getting real olive oil and not adulterated olive oil.
All right. Well, this is wonderful information. I'm sure everyone is thinking about ways to change their diet, upgrade their olive oil, and get the small blueberries, not the big fat ones, the wild blueberries. We're going to take another quick break and be right back with Dr. Stephen Gundry and continuing our conversation about the health benefits of polyphenols. Stay with us.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path.
Nigerian Christians
in Iran are routinely arrested.
Happily, Christians continue to suffer.
In times of trial and affliction, you need to know the truth.
One of the fastest growing Christian populations in the world.
Join Wendy Griffith and George Thomas for Christian World News.
Young people are the ones who are open to the gospel.
Powerful stories of suffering and hope that affect all Christians. Saturday night at 6 on the CBN News Channel. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
Welcome back to Healthy Living, and we're continuing our conversation with Dr. Stephen Gundry about the health benefits of polyphenols. And Dr. Gundry, how much should we be eating every day? How many polyphenols? How do we know if we're getting enough?
Well, the exciting news is you cannot overdose on polyphenols. For an upcoming book which features polyphenols, I listed the number of polyphenol supplements I currently take, and they exceed about 50 to 60 different polyphenol supplements. One of the things that listeners and viewers can find is if you like spices, spices are actually polyphenol delivery devices. So, for instance, at Thanksgiving, if we're having sage and thyme and rosemary, those are actually polyphenols. So use spices liberally. Get yourself organic Italian seasoning blends. Get yourself Côte de Provence, Herbe de Provence blends. Use them liberally. Sprinkle them on your salad. Sprinkle them on your fish, your chicken. And you can get polyphenols that way every day without, worrying about it. Believe it or not, black pepper is a very potent polyphenol. So go liberal with black pepper. Cayenne pepper is a liberal polyphenol. If you like hot sauces, which are fermented peppers, it's another great source of polyphenols. And remember, that kind of bright orangey red color is actually a signal that there's polyphenols in there. So there's all sorts of ways of people getting polyphenols in their diet, in themselves every day, and easy.
Do spices go bad, like the dried spices, if they've been sitting on your shelf for a year or more? Should you get rid of them and update them?
Yeah, it's time to get a new set of spices. The polyphenols do lose their potency, just like the polyphenols in olive oil. Same way, if you've got coffee beans laying around for the last 6 months, it's time to upgrade. And hopefully you don't have any extra dark chocolate laying around, because I want everybody to have a piece of extra dark chocolate every day. So that shouldn't be sitting around.
Wow, doctor's orders to eat chocolate. I love it. So you're talking about the 72% cacao chocolate, right?
Yeah, even higher if you can. For instance, I traditionally eat 85 to 90%, but build your way up to that content. Most people think it's too bitter to even try, but if you start around 72% and work your way up and have a piece every night, doctor's orders, wow, what a great doctor's order.
I love that. So when you say a piece, you're talking about one of those little squares from the chocolate bar, right?
Perfect is a perfect dose.
Yeah. What about supplements? You mentioned polyphenol supplements, and do you have some of those supplements?
Believe it or not, Gundry MD was founded on providing polyphenols to people in an easy-to-take form. And so much of all of Gundry MD's products are polyphenol-based. Now, this is coming from someone who 25 years ago thought supplements made expensive urine. I really did. But my research and the research of thousands of other researchers in human beings show that the more polyphenols we get people to ingest, the better their health overall, and get polyphenols into you, whether you eat them or take them as supplements. There's a number of supplements that are easy to obtain. You can find them at Costco. You can find them at Trader Joe's. I'll use an example. Grapeseed extract is readily available. Another great supplement called quercetin or quercetin, which is a polyphenol in the white pith of citrus, in onions, is available as a supplement. It's also an excellent anti-cancer agent. Turmeric, everybody's heard of turmeric. It turns out that turmeric is a polyphenol, and you can easily obtain turmeric supplements with the proviso that turmeric is not absorbed without the presence of black pepper. And that explains why curry eaters actually have vastly lower incidence of Alzheimer's than non-curry eaters. And that's because curry has turmeric and black pepper. as part of its constituents.
Yes, fantastic information. All right, we're going to take our final break and be right back with Dr. Stephen Gundry. Stay tuned.
Christians around the world are standing with the Israelis. But why? In CBN's free magazine, Friends of Israel, you'll discover why Christians are supporting the Jewish state, how Israel is fulfilling prophecy as a light to the nations, and ways you can pray for the people of Israel. Israel needs the support of friends like you. Call now or go to cbn.com to get your free copy of Friends of Israel.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible,
yes,
Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link. Tuesday morning at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Welcome back, continuing our discussion with Dr. Stephen Gundry about polyphenols. Dr. Gundry, how did you go about getting this recognized July 11th, your birthday, as National Polyphenol Day? What kind of a process was that?
Well, my team at Gundry MD have been so committed to getting the message out about polyphenols that there is actually a system for having a day created in recognition of an important subject. And through their tireless work to celebrate my birthday, July 11th, 7/11, they got National Polyphenol Day. So once a year on July 11th, let's all take a shot of olive oil or a bite of dark chocolate or a shot of espresso coffee and celebrate National Polyphenol Day. And I can tell you, your heart and brain will be celebrating right along with you.
Absolutely. And on that positive note, we'll say goodbye for now. Dr. Gundry, great to see you as always. Thanks for being here.
Lori, thanks for having me on.
And thanks to you for tuning in to this edition of Healthy Living. I'm Lori Johnson, and we'll see you again next time.